What's up everyone, WizardKen here with another first impression video. Today's tank we're going to be looking at finally is the Chinese tier 10 medium tank, the 121. That's right guys, we finally made it to the end of the Chinese medium line and I'm super excited to be here. Now, some of you guys that are new to the channel are probably wondering what in the world is a first impression video. Now, this is not a review video at all. This is exactly what the title means. First impression. What I do is once I buy this tank, I usually make a video of it. Usually right after I buy it or within the first one or two battles. I want to experience this tank for the first time with you guys. So I haven't really tried this tank or anything like that, so it's our first impressions. And at the end of the video, we'll sit there and talk about what I think about it, what things I need to work on with this tank, and so forth and so forth. So like I said, it's not a review video. This is just us trying to get used to the tank, look at it, see how it runs, and different things like that. Now we're also going to be looking at the stats of this tank. We're going to be looking at the armor and doing a thorough inspection on that with a tank inspector, which allows us to really look in depth on the armor. It'll give us heat signatures. I believe, no, it's not heat signatures, but color coding. Sorry about that. It's not heat signatures, but color coding of how thick the armor is. But also, this tank inspector allows us to get a better armor rating. And what I mean by that is we do have the basic stats of what this tank can do with its armor, but it doesn't tell you the effectiveness of how well like the upper plate is slanted or how much it's sloped and how much that actually increases your armor and stuff. So anyways, so basically that's a first impression video. I'm super excited to be using this tank finally. We're finally here, and I've been waiting for this for a while because the tier 9 was kind of hard for me. I still have mixed reviews about it. You know, really bad thoughts about it, really good thoughts about it, and I'm hoping that the tier 10 actually turns my thoughts around and makes me really like the Chinese line once again, because I enjoyed the light tanks pretty thoroughly on my way up to getting this tank. So I'm hoping that this will change my mind and think that the Chinese medium line was a good line to go down. So anyways, let's jump over to the stats and then we'll look at the armor and then we'll jump into a battle and see how things go. But before we do that, we are going to be comparing the stats of the WZ-120 to the 121. The reason why I wanted to do that is because they are pretty similar tanks. They kind of look pretty much like, you know, twins in a sense, but there are some differences in the stats and stuff like that. So anyways, let's jump into the stats and talk about that. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the stats of the 121 versus the WZ-120, the tier 9 medium tank. So the hit points on the 121 is 1,950, where in the WZ-120's hit point is 1,650. Now there's not a huge difference between the hit points. You know, the 121 does get a couple extra hundred hit points, but the thing is, that little bit of a difference can actually save your life in the end. We've all been there where we've been shot at, and we have just barely any life left, and, you know, it saved our lives. Having a little bit more hit points actually saved our lives, where in the 120, maybe we get shot and then we die instead. So there is a plus to having a little bit more hit points on your tank. Now, the speed on the 121 is 56, and the speed on the WZ-120 is 56, so they're tied. The whole armor on the 121 is 120 in the front, 80 on the side, and 60 on the rear. Where on the WZ-120, the whole armor is 100, 80, and 45. Now, this is just like the hit points. It's a little bit different, not a huge amount, but the thing is we really have to look at the tank inspector, which we will do in a few minutes, and really look at this armor, because maybe this armor is a little bit more sloped than the WZ-120, and that might increase the whole armor a little bit more, allowing us to maybe bounce some of the tanks that we're going to be facing. But I do understand it is only 120 armor, and even with, you know, it being slanted and angled enough, it might not actually be able to bounce really anything. It might go from 120 to 150 maybe, and that's it. And we know most of the tier 10s and tier 9s can actually over penetrate that and damage you anyway. So well, not over penetrate. That would mean that the shell doesn't actually hurt you because it goes all the way through. What could hurt you, hurt your crew, but it could penetrate you and actually damage you. So now moving on to the turret. The turret's armor on the 121 is 240 on the front, 130 on the side, and 60 on the rear. Where on the WZ120, the turret armor is 220 on the front, 160 on the side, and 65 on the rear. So we could see that on the turrets, there's a little bit of difference there. You know, the 121's armor on the front of the turret actually goes up 20 hit points, or 20 thickness, and I don't know why I'm having a bad day today with these stats. Um, but we could see that we actually lose armor on the sides and on the rear. You know, where on the 120 there's 160, where on the 121 we only have 130. The 120 has 65, and the 121 only has 60. So there are a little bit of a difference here. Now, some of you guys are like, oh man, it's, you know, the 120 is getting a little bit better armor on its side and different things like that. Just like the whole armor, where the whole armor on the 121 had a little bit more thickness than the whole armor on the WZ120. After we look at the tank inspector, it may increase a little bit, but the thing is it's not going to increase a lot. I mean, looking at this tank, it's really just a half circle turret. There's nothing really different to it, like the IS-7, where you have this really slick top and stuff where a lot of people bounce off of you. This one, actually, people can actually shoot at and penetrate and probably not bounce off of you. So if they shoot at you on the sides or anything like that, so we still have to be very careful with this tank. Now, that being said, like I said, even if the WZ-120's turret is 160, I still got penetrated. The armor's just not round enough to be able to really stop anything from hitting you on the side. Now, this is the part I'm really excited about, because this is what made a big difference for me. Now, both of these tanks, the 121 and the WZ-120, both have a 122 gun on them, which means, you know, we have to look at these tanks pretty much like a heavy tank when they're shooting. You know, we're going to have a long reload time. Well, it doesn't have to be drastic, but, you know, aim time and so forth and so forth. Now, the rate of fire on the 121 is 6.25. The rate of fire on the WZ-120 is only 5. So we are increasing an extra round from the 121 compared to the WZ-120, which could be the meaning of life and death. Just like the hit points, that extra round could save our lives. Now, the penetration on the 121 is 258, where on the WZ-120, the penetration was only 249. Now, not a huge difference, but a little bit of that, you know, a little increase can actually let you penetrate some of the armor that you might not have been able to. Now, the damage on the 121 is 440, and the WZ-120's damage is 440. So the damage is the same. So pretty much the only thing we're getting different is penetration and rate of fire, which is fine, because the damage, 440 damage, is not bad. It's not terrible for a medium tank. The penetration is nice, and the rate of fire is nice on the 121, where on the WZ-120, it does take a little bit of time. And that was one of the things I didn't like, was the rate of fire on the WZ-120. So I'm hoping that this makes me a little bit happier, because I do get to shoot the next round, which means was a couple seconds taken off the reload time and stuff. So not bad at all. Now, this tank's going to have the same problem as the WZ-120, which is one of the other factors I didn't care for these tanks, is the gun depression. They both have the same gun depression, and if you guys watched the last video, you could see I was struggling with, you know, trying to do a hold down position, or even trying to just shoot somebody as I was coming over the top of a hill, because my gun depression was so bad. I pretty much had to be on the other side of the hill before I could actually shoot the person, because my gun depression sucked. It didn't want to go down enough. So anyways, let's take a look at the armor, and then let's take this thing out for a spin. So I'm really curious to see how the hull and turret armor kind of differ from the WZ-120. Alright guys, so let's take a closer look at the armor of the 121 using the tank inspector. Now we're going to be looking at the 121 and also the tier 9 WZ-120. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I told you when we were talking about the stats that the armor, depending on how much the armor was angled on the upper and lower glitzes or upper and lower plate, could increase dramatically how much we could actually bounce with this tank, how much we could actually deflect rounds and stuff like that. And when I started looking at these two tanks together, there is actually a big difference in what you can do with these tanks, and you're going to be surprised on this. Now, as I said, the 121's front hull was 120. We're just going to be focusing on the front because that's, majority of what we need to look at. Usually the sides and the rear of tanks aren't the greatest, especially on mediums. Anyways, you're not really going to get a real huge increase. But anyways, like I said, the 120 on the front. Now, as we take our mouse and look over top, if you're new to this series, I'm going to explain this real quick. So you can see it says effective armor 196. Now, that means that this is including how thick the armor is and also the angle or how slanted the armor is in the front, and it increases the overall armor value, which means even though it's only 120 thickness, as you can see right under there, it says 120 millimeters thick, because of how much it's angled, it actually increases to 196. Actually, there's different spots that show different things. Like as you get higher, it looks like on the upper glacis, you can see it's all the way up to 235, 236. And as you get to the where the upper and lower glacis connect, you can see it gets a little bit lower, but still, you're almost in the 200 range on majority of this armor. This is pretty badass. Now, the lower glacis, 156, which isn't bad. Technically, the armor down here is only 80, which I did not know that. But this is why I like doing this tank inspector, because, on World of Tanks, you see, it tells you the armor ratings are 120 or 200 or whatever. But when you use the tank inspector, you can really see, okay, it said the front, the front of the hull was 200, but it actually isn't. There's spots that are not 200 thickness, or there's spots that are actually thicker because of how the upper or lower glacis is slanted. But as you can see, this thing is pretty awesome. Now let's look at the WZ-120, which had the hull of 100 thickness. Look at this. It only goes up to 154. It does increase as it goes up, just like on the 121. But the WZ-120 definitely does not have the armor that the 121 has, or the effective armor as the 121. This is pretty freaking sweet. So that extra 120 actually helped out, and the angling helped out a lot with this tank. Now let's go back to the 121. I apologize. I'm going to mix this up a lot. I apologize for this. All right, so we're looking back at the 121, and oh, my colors are changing there. Oh yeah, because I could change this up. Anyways, so the turret armor on the front was 240. Now let's look at this thing and see how it increases. Look at that. Look at that. The effective armor is 274 around the gun. 200, 300. It is way up there. You're going to be bouncing some stuff. Let's see what the commander's hatch is. Or this is, yeah, this is some kind of hatch. I think this is where that gun sits on. Let's see real quick. Visual. Yeah, that's where the gun sits. So, let me get back to where it was. Hybrid? No. Live? No. Collision? There we go. Sorry about that. But as you can see, that's pretty thick up there. And even the commander's hatch, pretty thick. So people are going to be having a hard time penning you if you're in a hold down position. But even if you're not, like we said, the upper plate, holy crap, it's just amazing. Look at this thing. And like I said, it's a half circle. It's not like the IS-7 or some of these other tanks that are, have a weird shape to them. This thing's, pretty much like cutting a ball in half and throwing it on top of a tank. But you can see how effective this actually is because of that. This is pretty awesome. And then as you get to the sides, holy shit, look at that. Look at that. You're going to be bouncing some shit. You really, really are. Now let's take a look at the WZ-120. Now this only has 100 hull armor. But look at this. This is still pretty tough. So the difference between the 121 and the WZ120 is really, the turrets are pretty much the same. The body style is pretty much the same. The only difference is on the 121, you have a better slant to it than you do with the WZ120, which means allows us to have a better chance of bouncing on our upper plate, which is pretty badass. I'm really excited about that. That means that we can actually take some more chances out there in the field. Let's go back and look at this thing again. Holy crap, this is just awesome. This is just awesome. That makes me excited. Very, very excited. So, anyways, guys, so we've checked out the tanks. We've looked at the stats. We looked at the armor thoroughly. Now we need to take this thing out and see what we can do. Alright, guys, so we're on Cliff Standard Battle. We're going to be going against a lot of tier 10s, a couple tier 9s, and a couple... Yeah, 2 tier 8s and 1 tier 7. Okay, so this is not a bad map to be on for this tank, but I would have preferred to start on the other side. There's a nice little rock I could have hidden behind with this tank in the Death Valley area near the, D1 area. Yeah, D2, sorry, D2 area and the G2 area. Right there, that would have been a great spot to be on the other side because there's a nice little rock that sits up. But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna work around it and see what we can do. I'm just not a pro with going up this way. I don't know what it is. Most maps, I am very, I'm able to adapt to the situation that I have to do. If not enough people go one way, I'm able to adapt to that and go to the other position. But with this, yeah, I am not doing the greatest. Anyways, let's see what we can do. I'm hoping to get across here. There's this Japanese tank, and I'm going to tell him sorry because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. That's okay. Alright, now what I want to do... Ooh. There's a pattern. There's a pattern. STA-1. Don't be scared, buddy. You're fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Everything will be awesome. There's the light tank. There we go. Now, like the, WZ-120, our bubbles aren't getting huge, but they are getting a little bit faster to move in. It feels like they definitely move in a little bit better. Now, wait, I didn't look at the stats of how long it takes to aim in, but it does seem like it's a little bit faster, which I'm fine with that. The reload seems nice so far. So I have to see how it goes later on. I was really hoping this guy would come out, but I'm also worried about the pattern being a prick. And coming around and... Oh, there he is. Ooh, there's that bounce. I wish I knew where he bounced me at. I really do. Oops. I don't want to get in a position I can't get out of here. That would not be good. Can we see where he shot at? I don't see any marks at the moment. So, that's okay though. That's okay. I think I'm going to scoot around the other side and try to help this other medium out. Looks like the light tank might get away, which sucks. Alright, let's get out of here. Now, the only problem about going on the other side is that artillery can see us and will shoot at us. And I think that might have been the thing that killed or hit the STA-1, which could be very devastating to us. Now, our team did go around the other side of the mountain. Looks like they did take that pass pretty well. Another M48 Patton. Alrighty, look at that shot. Not bad. Now, we're not being very, very aggressive, Because we're just trying to get used to this tank. It's something... Is that guy gonna sit there? He's gonna back up. God damn it. I was hoping to get something on him. Oh my god. Our round went left a little bit. And we hit the... Is this guy facing us? I think he is. I want to say he is. No, he's not. There's the exhaust. You can see the exhaust right there coming up. You know, having extra visual effects on a game isn't always just a helper of just making things look good. Oh my god. Come on. Let's get out of here. That was stupid. These artillery are starting to piss me off. Woo. The WZ wants us. I'm not gonna let them have us. Yeah, get out of here. Quick. Eat shit. Duck and hide. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Gotta take a left. It's gonna be risky. Ah! Are you fucking kidding me? So our team didn't realize there's people here, so they want to go all down here instead of coming into the middle and trying to stop some of these guys. I don't understand that planning, because you can see that we're starting to fall. Yeah, I don't think these guys are really paying attention at all. Alrighty guys, so we were defeated. Before we go over the stats and stuff, I want to talk about what I did right there at the end. Now, some of you guys are probably upset. WizardKen, why did you go that way? You already knew there was a Death Star and a T-95 there. What were you thinking? I was actually thinking about the rest of those tank destroyers that I didn't know where they were. I already knew my team had already come around the mountain and that they were pushing towards the flag. So that means all of those TDs had to be sitting around the base somewhere. Now, my thoughts were if I rolled backwards instead and went off the cliff towards their base, that I wasn't going to make it very far, because at that area it's very open. There's not any rocks that you can go and hide behind. Now, if I would have made it down the way that I went, there's multiple rock systems leading to their base that I could have, ran around a little bit and tried to get a couple extra shots in. Now, I'm not saying I would have stayed alive, but I might have been able to get a shot, one or two shots in on somebody, because say the T-95 followed me and the FV followed me, there's still a tank destroyer on our side near the Death Valley that would have been able to shoot at them, because I would have detected them. And they might have rethought their, thinking. Now, like I said, I might not have survived, but it would have been okay. Anyways, let's talk about the stats. So we did 9,000, or we got 9,740 silver, 567 in experience points. We didn't destroy anything, but that's okay. We did 2,223 damage, 5 penetrations, 2 detections, 485 assisted, and 1,140 blocked. I wish I would have known where we blocked some of these shots at, but it's okay. It still shows us that we did block something. We came in the middle. So, we did do better than the tier 7 and tier 8 and stuff. We should, because we're tier 10, but it looks like some of our team just didn't do very good at all. Now, one thing I want to point out, because this was actually a very unfair game. It really, really was. And I don't understand matchmaking's thoughts on this one. So, one of the things I want to show is, we had one Waffle E100. I think we had 2 Death Stars. Yes, we did have 2 Death Stars. Okay, we had a T-110 E3 and a Jagdpanzer E100. Now, there are other tank destroyers in there, but those are the main ones I wanted to point out on our team. Now, the opposite team, let me read off what they had. They had 3 Death Stars. Those are the FVs, 215Bs, 183s. They had 3 of those things, okay? They had 2 Waffle E100s right there. They had 2 of those bad boys. So, let's look at this real quick. So, one of the FVs did 5,000 damage. The other one did 4,000, and the other one only did 1,000. So, okay, we'll let that one slide a little bit. But look at the waffles. One did 2,000, and where's the other one at? I know there's another one, and the other one almost did 2,000. So right there, they took out. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They took out by themselves 9 tanks. Just the FV 250B 183s, and then let's see, how many did the waffles take out? They took out 2. Sorry, I was counting in my head. So we got 11 tanks out from those tank destroyers, those badass tank destroyers, which GG, because they were able to use them properly and their team worked together. But yeah, that kind of sucks for us because we didn't have that kind of ability. We had some heavies, but we didn't have the power that they did. So, alrighty guys, so that's the end of our first impression video. Now we're going to be talking about what I think about this tank so far and what we need to improve on and stuff like that. Now some of you guys might be sitting there and saying, but WizardKen, that wasn't a great battle. I mean, you did well, or I sucked, but you know, that wasn't a great battle. Why aren't we getting like 5 or 6 kills and then you put like that type of battle in there? These first impression videos are not supposed to be like this. They're supposed to be our first thoughts, our first reactions to the tank. And with that being my, you know, like second battle I've ever done in this tank, you know, first one I played without recording, the second one I played with recording. I wanted to show you guys my feelings, my thoughts on this. That's what the first impression videos are, because that's what you're going to be feeling like when you get one of these tanks. It's like, holy crap, what do I do? Stuff like that. Because every tank's different, you know. They're similar, but they are different. You know, we saw that with the WZ-120 and the 121 and the stats and stuff. But anyways, like I said, on a review video, I will put out there the best battle I can, and that's the video we would use because I want to give you the best impression I can of the tank, even if I hate it. Like the the WZ-120, we had a great battle on that one, but I still didn't care for the tank too much. So you know, I made sure I had a really good battle in there, but as I said, in the end, I was very mixed reviews on that tank. But anyways, getting back to the first impression videos, like I said, I want to show you my first thoughts, my first feelings on it. Anyways, so let's go back to that battle. We've already talked about it when we were back in the battle summary, the battle stats area. We were just outmatched there. Not wargaming, but matchmaking just did not like us that game. They had the better guns and stuff like that, or more bigger guns than we did, and that really turned the tide for them. I mean, we had a great push at the beginning. We took over the top of the hill, but they still had reinforcement tank destroyers that unfortunately were the nastiest things to ever have to go against. I mean, a waffle, 2 waffles, and then 3 Death Stars, that is just friggin' ridiculous. That is just, you know, one-shotting a lot of tanks out there. And we felt one of their wraths, which is really shitty. Anyways, now, what did I feel about this tank? I felt like we did very well with this tank. I'm liking this tank. There's not much I feel like I need to improve on this tank. You know, I took what I learned from the WZ-120, applied it to this tank, and I'm getting better. The traverse is nice on this thing. The turret and the tracks, both of them are very nice. It's very quick moving. It's got a decent speed to it. The armor, as you can see, we did bounce something. I don't know where we got hit at. We probably got hit in the turret because I think that's the only thing he could really see. And we bounced it. The patent shot at us. Anyways, and we actually blocked stuff. So it wasn't bad at all. It was actually really, really good using this tank. Now, this is not my final review on this tank. I'm going to go out and play a whole bunch more with this tank and see what I can do. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up that I didn't bring up in the stats, and we did mention a little bit of this in the battle, is the aim time on the WZ-120 versus the 121. Now, that was one of the biggest problems, and I apologize for not having that in the stats, but I did look it up before I finished up on this video. Now, the aim time on the 121 is 2.70. The aim time on the WZ-120 is 3.40. 3.40. So we're actually aiming a lot quicker with this tank, which you know, for tier 10, you should be aiming quicker than the tier 9. But Holy crap! Yes! This is why we were getting better aim times. I said in the video that it felt like it was quicker than the WZ-120, and it is. Thank fucking God. I am so glad that I have a quicker aim time. Now, the accuracy. Another thing we had a problem with the WZ-120. The accuracy in the 121 is 0.34, which is awesome. Really, really nice. Means that we're going to pretty much hit everything that we shoot at, which, as you saw in that battle, we did. We hit pretty perfectly even when we weren't completely aimed in. We only had that one, I think the one miss on the T110E4 where we accidentally hit the dead E100. Now, like I said, the 121 accuracy is 0.34. Now the WZ's accuracy, the WZ-120's accuracy is 0.37. Holy crap, that is huge difference. Huge difference. So when I was getting so pissed off with the WZ-120, I'm like, I can't hit a fucking thing. You know, I don't know how many times I played with Roy and Bubba trying to get this tank, you know, the WZ-120 tank down. You know, I was like, it can't be that bad of a tank. You know, I like its traverse and everything and stuff like that. It can't be that bad of a tank. And then I was just like, this aim is so shitty. It just wants to fuck me over. I'd have like a perfect shot on somebody, and the round would go pew over them or really low, and I'm like, God damn it! I would still hit the tank, but it wouldn't hit the spot I really needed to hit, like a T110E5. You know, you need like a couple inches lower on their lower plate to be able to penetrate them, because that really thick armor actually rolls over on the lower plate or the lower glacis. So you have to aim a little bit lower. And I shot, and it just kept shooting in the wrong spot every single time. But this tank seems like it's actually aiming. It's actually hitting where I want it to go. So I'm really excited about this tank. I'm not saying it's an amazing tank. Well, I guess I kind of am. But I don't want to say that's my final verdict on it. I might play this a lot more and be like, you know what, it's shit. So, but let me take this out some more. And then we're going to do a review video after like a week or two. So anyways, I'm WizardKen, guys. I'm sorry I was mixed up a lot on this video. You know, I kept going back to like, oh, the WZ-120 is and the 121. When you're trying to compare two tanks together, sometimes your tongue gets twisted around and tongue tied and stuff like that, and that's really what happened on this goddamn game. So anyways, I'm WizardKen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you.